when you walk by, I hit you with sexy eyes. You look through me as if I wasn't right. Oh no, you didn't just walk on through. It's time.
Good evening all. Welcome to the Dragon's Lair workshop for another week. It's kind of late in the week. It is Thursday. I haven't shot anything at all this week until now. Basic reason is all I've been doing all week is carving out that. And I finished them today, finally. So I'm getting ready to move on to the next segment. I couldn't see, turning the camera on Monday and say, hey, I'm carving. Turn it on Tuesday, hey, I'm carving. And just give you a bunch of that. You didn't need to see that and what have you. So I figured I'd wait until I was ready to do a next step. Now, I asked a trivia question last week on people to guess how many circles did I end up having to trace out on all 25 pillars. It was just a little trivia question. There was no prizes or anything involved with it. Was rather surprised at the response. Got a lot of responses from you guys on there. Thank you. It shows I've got people watching. I do have to address two people that made the comment. One was a Woken Nightmare, and I've already teased him about it on SOP. And I want to say Virus Han, and I could be wrong on that. I'll have to take a look at the comments to find out for sure. But when I asked my question about the circles, I was expecting people, there's like 1,000 of them, or maybe there's 300 of them. Those two actually quite a few of you, but them in particular took the time to pause the video, count, and do the math. The thing with Awoken Nightmare is he did 3 posts back to back, and he included his math, how he came to the conclusion. I just uploaded it for some fun. I wasn't trying to make it a college course or anything. But it was nice to see that people really got into the trivia questions. So, your answers, and I'm going to figure out one right now. 42 times 25. Okay. On the circles, your answer for that one, an Awoken Nightmare and a couple other people got the answers right. The answer on the circle was 5,250 circles, which meant I had 5,250 circles to carve. They're all carved. I had a couple of people took it a step further, and they threw in ovals. I had one side which was just circles, but the other side had ovals down the center instead of circles. And they actually went through and tried to figure out how many ovals were on the thing. I actually had to sit down and count them after I saw the comments, because I had no idea how many ovals were on this thing. I have it written down in the house, but I just don't have it with me, so I pulled out the calculator. There's 1,050 ovals altogether. So, there you go. So if you add the 5,250 circles with 1,050 ovals, comes up to like 6,100 and something. And that's, I've got to sit here and figure it out. 6,300 altogether, if you include the ovals and the circles. So, there's the answer to your trivia question. And thank you to everyone that chimed in. I'll do a kind of like a mini, I might do a little mini COC at the end mentioning people who guessed. I will say my favorite response I got on the trivia question came from Scuba Spook 1. His comment was lots. There's lots. And I agree, there is lots. And I'll have to say, I'm glad I'm done with the carving phase. I actually, switching gears again, now that we're done with the trivia question, I actually finished carving the pillars this morning. Spent the better part of the afternoon working on 2 side projects. One was cleaning up the shop, and as you can see, it's still kind of a disaster area. I've already gotten a garbage full of crap out of here. The other one was, for my next step on the pillars project, I wanted a table saw. I could have used a skill saw. But I did a little bit of looking on Craigslist for my area, and they had several different saws available. One was a commercial grade Craftsman's table saw, which would have worked perfect. Would have been overkill for what I'd be using it for, and they wanted $300 for it. I found this little one, however, and it's a lighter weight version. It weighs probably about 50 pounds, 75 pounds, thereabouts, on Craigslist for $125. Now, you may notice here that chassis that I've got the saw sitting on, which I just finished mounting to it, if you guys are familiar, is a Shopsmith chassis. I bought a Shopsmith back in the 90s, used the hell out of it, especially the table saw feature. Motor burned out ages ago. So the whole thing's just been kind of sitting against that door, and I've been using it as a work table. And I thought it'd be nice. I spent the day taking the old motor off and making room on there for this table saw. And it's on there nice and attached. I've got some U-clamps underneath holding it on, and I can pop those loose and swivel it. But the reason why I decided to keep this part of the Shopsmith was for the work tables and stuff. If I ever decide I want to cut, like a full sheet of plywood or whatever, I'd have the extra table space in order to do that. I don't cut all that much plywood, where I would need to use a table saw to cut it. Most of it I just use a skill saw for. But I do cut for like full sheets of foam, and stuff like that. And this table saw will be perfect for that. Okay, so that's what I've been working on so far today. And I've got this done. It's ready to go to work. Now, my next chore, which is what I wanted the table saw for, was on the pillars here, on the ends. When I went and cleaned them up, I wasn't thinking ahead too well. And I took a sander, palm sander to it, to shrink the foam down so it was at the same thickness as the it stuck out just as far as the 2x4s did instead of past it. And when I did that on some of the 2x4s on either end, up where the cap goes or down here where the skirting goes, it cupped it a little bit. So these things are not flat on the bottoms anymore. So what I wanted the table saw for is I want to run them over just, the ends of them over the table saw to get a nice 90-degree cut flat surface on there. And I could have used a skill saw for it, but I probably would have made a hell of a lot more mess. I'll have more control using the table saw to do that. So I've got to go through and I got to shave off both ends of each of the pillars, which is probably an hour, 2-hour job. And then we can move on to the next stage. So that's what I'm working on now. Nothing fancy or anything. So sit back. I don't know how long the vlog is going to be this week. Like I said, it's Thursday. I got 3 days before I start editing. So might not get much footage. You might end up with an hour-long footage. I don't know. I gotta give something. I gotta give Diablo something to watch. I mean, he gets so bored just sitting at home with his tequila. Hey guys, Friday. Man, I think I better do another segment because I haven't done very much. Like I was telling you in the last segment, I got all my carving done. Decided I needed to clean the shop up. Started doing that. Ended up having a table saw project over there. And actually, come to think of it, this isn't the second segment. It might be the third segment, fourth segment. I don't remember, but it's another segment for you. But anyway, I got the table saw project done, and I figured while I had everything pulled out, and the shop was a disaster area, I did go through all the poles and cut the tops, cut the bottom, so they're all flat. They're all nice and level now. These things sit up, they don't wobble at all, which is good. Also, while I had the table saw out, I had 2 other things to cut. One, if you remember in the last vlog, I showed you the cap I was going to put on these, and it was just a square piece of 2-inch foam. Oh, I set the saw up and I did a bevel cut on it. And the nice thing about this is once that's on top of the post and mounted securely, it gives us a platform to set something like a small pumpkin or a skull or what have you. So that will be going on top of the pole. The other thing is I went through all my trim, those long pieces over there, and I cut a bevel on them. Okay, once I get the skirting on, I'm going to move the chair out of the way. These will sit both at the top of the skirting and the bottom of the skirting, and then I'll have something carved into the center here. Okay, so I got those done. I got all my saw cutting for this project finished, with the exception of one thing, which I will do at the very end, and that is I'm going to be cutting a slightly oversized piece of I got some particle board there. I know it don't hold up to water, but I've got a trick I'm going to do with it. But I'm going to cut that in and do a solid base with it that these will anchor to, make them a little bit more sturdy. Now I'll be doing that at the end of the project here before I start the paint. Now what I'm getting ready to do next is I see the 2 stacks over there with the pink foam on them, and I got these stacks here. These are my skirting pieces, and basically they get mounted down here on all 4 sides. You know, this part of the project basically is just a repeat of what I did with these foams. I used the Glidden gripper, put some on this piece, put some on that piece, slap them together, tape them, put some weight on them until they dry. Now I've got to do all 4 sides, and I've got pieces for all 4 sides. 2 of the sides here, 2 of the sides over there. Now this is a 2-day step. You know, I'm not going to start this tonight. It is too late, and I don't want to stop in the middle while I'm gluing. So what I'll do is tomorrow when I get out here, I'll start with those pieces there. I'll get all them attached to all the pillars, get them on the press, let them dry overnight, come out here on Sunday, get the other sides on and glued, let them dry, and then come back if it needs any caulking or anything like that, get that done, let it dry. And, you know, I'll show you some glimpses and stuff probably over the weekend, but that's about as far as we're probably going to get with this vlog. It gets uploaded late Sunday, early Monday. Hey, Diablo, you finished that tequila yet? You better hurry up. We're getting close to the end of the vlog, bro. Come on. You're going slow. Greetings again. Another segment for you. Just got done gluing the first set of foam for the skirting on the pillars. And it's basically on the base of each pillar. They'll get 4 pieces, 2 on each side to build it out. And I ran into a mistake I did make. I'm going to be able to fix it, no big deal, but it is a mistake. When I originally, a couple vlogs back, went out and got all my foam pieces and stuff cut, you know, I measured things out there and cut them to those measurements. One thing I did not take into account, and something I did say a vlog or 2 back, was on the 2x4s sizes. You know, it's supposed to be 2 inches by 4 inches. They're actually slightly less than 4 and slightly less than 2, and they can vary in size. Yada 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 yada. You know, I covered that already back when I started the project. Well, one thing I should have done when I cut my pieces for the skirting is, you know, instead of cutting them to my exact measurements, I should have over-cut the pieces. In other words, if I needed 6 inches wide, I should have cut it at 6 1/4 to 6 1/2 to give me a little bit of extra foam. Because what I'm finding is there is some variance. On some, they fit exact. On others, you know, there's a slight lip, you know, a little lip on them. Okay, I'm probably going to have the same problem when I go to glue these other pieces on, which means I'm going to end up with a hole or a seam, a very visible seam right there. Now, I was thinking about it. There's 2 ways I could go about fixing the problem. The first one is after these are dried overnight, take tape off and I could take my sander and sand down these side pieces so they match the new pieces I put on. Okay, I could do that. And that's going to be a lot of work with 25 pillars. I'd have 2 sides to do on each. That'd be, 50 different sides to do. The other one is I could cheat. And, after I get the tape off, clean up, the drips and stuff on there, just go ahead and attach the other pieces to this. Let it dry, and then come back where the seam is, fill it with caulking, which would be the quicker and easier way of doing it. If I wanted to be a perfectionist, I think I'd probably go the sanding method and just kind of sand these down. I think I'm going to go more of the caulking area though, because it's faster. And then, once these are all painted, like up here on this side of the surface up here, there is a caulking seam up there because I ran into the same problem. But once these are painted, you'll never see the seams. You'll never know they're there. The only one that's going to know that they're there is me and now you guys who are watching this. So, but I guess that come to my haunt would never know. So I think I'm going to end up doing that. I'm going to think about it overnight. Hey y'all, it's Sunday. Got to thinking last night, remember I was talking, I was going to have to do something, either sand down the pillars a little bit, or have or caulk it. And I wasn't sure which way I was going to go. Thought about last night, and I decided to go with both, actually. What I ended up doing for right now is I sanded down the surface. I got rid of the lip. Now when I go and attach these pieces on, I might end up on some of them having a lip over on this side. And it'll be a lot smaller lip now than what it would have been if I'd left it the way it was. And I'll probably run a slight bead of caulking down the seams anyway, even if I don't have a big gap in there. Just to kind of protect it, seal it a little bit. But I decided to go with the sanding. I got all the pillars sanded down, they're ready to go. Now I'm getting ready, gotta get my Glidden gripper out, and I'm getting ready to start gluing on the other pieces onto this. Then they'll go on underneath the press and dry overnight. And then what comes next, you'll see in next week's vlog. So, next week's vlog, let's see, I'm hoping by the end of the week to get to the paint process. That's provided, once these pieces are adhered tomorrow, I'll break them loose. I've got to carve my pattern in the skirting all the way around. I've got my trim pieces to put on yet. I've got the cap to attach yet. And then I'm going to cut a base that this will sit on. That will be slightly bigger than the actual post. I don't want them too wobbly. I want something more of a sturdier base on them. But I've got to get that done next week. If I can get all that done, and then hopefully by the end of the week, you'll at least see the base coat going on them. So, that's what we've got on the docket for next week. Then the week after that will be spent doing detail work. And it'll probably take me a week or two to do the detail work, because there's actually a lot of detail work on these. With over 5,000 circles and some odd ovals and everything else. So, but anyway, that's where we're standing at now. That's where I'm going to bring this part of the vlog to a close. I may pop on here. You might see one more segment with me going over the comments on the trivia question I asked last week. Not sure if I'm going to do it or not, so don't hold me to it. But if I don't do it, stay spooky out there. We'll see you next week.